As I said before, in this master section, these these clips over here, when you trigger these, it basically plays everything in this row. Okay, so let's hit it and you'll hear what I'm saying. Perfect. Okay, so now you have the chorus all mapped out, and you can mix and EQ and put effects on different channels here, um, and you can manipulate each different clip. So let's say you want the bass to only play 4 times in the loop and 4 times around in the loop, then you want it to drop out. You can actually tell Ableton to do that and then come back in. Like, you can do all sorts of stuff with this. Like I said, I'm not going to go deep into it because you go straight to ableton.com and they have an entire series on how to break down their software. They can explain it way better than I can. I just use this to run shows and program shows inside of here. And I'm a very linear, straight ahead um, programmer. And so I only work with loops if the song that I'm working on carries the spirit of a loop based or electronic music type of vibe. And so, or if I just want a different feel. But also, I'm willing to do this for you if you guys want me to do something from start to finish inside of Ableton so you can see how I work and how it works. Let me know. Shoot me an email and I'll go in and I'll make something specifically in Ableton so you can see how it works when I'm programming inside of Ableton. This triggers all the rows of stems. Now, you can do whole songs. You can pull in your stems to a whole song from start to finish here, or you can pull in different parts of songs to each to different rows. And these over here to the right are called scenes. Okay, for those of you who are familiar with like Machine and different other softwares, a scene is basically a collection of loops and clips that are all triggered at one time. Okay, and so this is the scene, and so let's go here. Let's rename this the chorus. Okay, let's rename that the chorus. And now that everything is mapped out tempo wise, we can actually change the tempo of this. If we want to come in and say, it's a little slow, let's change the launch tempo. You can command click or right click on a Windows, or control click on not command click, but control click on a Mac. Go to edit launch tempo, and we're at 97. Let's say we wanted at like 103. So now when we trigger it, it's going to trigger at 103 instead of 97. With very little artifacts and everything. It's very, very intuitive. All right, let's take that back to nothing. So let's change this tempo back to 97. Okay. Now let's bring in our verse. Now we're gonna have to do the same thing with the verses. Everything imported at 97 already, and everything is tight. So now let's rename this the verse. Now, I'm going to trigger these in succession. Okay. So I'm going to trigger the chorus first, and right before it loops around, I'm going to trigger the verse. Now, I want you to pay close attention to this one bar right here. This is the quantization menu. What this allows you to do is it allows you to trigger scenes in advance or trigger them on the fly. Okay. So let's say it's on one bar now. That means that once I hit the next scene, if I'm in the middle of one scene, the very next bar, the one of the very next bar is going to trigger the next scene, that whatever scene I trigger, and it's going to go right to that. So some people use half bars, some people do a quarter bar, and you can go as small as maybe a quarter triplet. But that enables you to just trigger right before. Let's say, you trigger maybe a half second before the bar starts. It enables you, it'll pick up where it's supposed to be. I keep it on the bar because normally you can hit it on the 4 of the bar, and it'll go right to the next scene. Actually, you can go as small as 1/32, and that's fairly quick. But I don't necessarily like doing that. Okay, so I'm gonna trigger this, and you're gonna see how this works. See, it's perfect. And then you can actually go back to the other part of the song. Now, let's say this had like a little intro measure with a bass slide at the top. Okay, so let's say you want to go back to the chorus, but it's gonna play that intro measure. You want that out. So all you do here is you copy the scene. You go down here, paste the scene. Now you go here and you change your start point for everything. So now if I want to come out of the verse back into the chorus, it'll come in on that one. All right. So let's try it. Okay. So that's basically it. You can do all sorts of things. Like, let's say, you only want this to go for the first 8 measures, and then you want to be able to trigger the back 8 measures on another scene. Change your copy the scene, paste the scene, and then on the first verse scene, change your endpoints to measure 9, and then on the pasted scene, change your start point to measure 9. Easy fix. And then you can trigger the ones that trigger them on the fly. Now, here's a little neat trick. If you're doing live performance, for those of you who run stems in worship services and shows and all of that, it's a bit of a hassle to try to use a mouse. When I was on tour with Teddy Riley and those guys, it was easy for me to use a mouse because for the first half of the tour, I wasn't playing. So all I had to do was just sit there with the mouse and trigger the stems when the MD gave the go. When I started playing, I had to use a different method. And this is a great Ableton Live feature, is that you can trigger scenes and clips through assigned buttons, whether it be a MIDI key on the keyboard or an actual key on the computer keyboard. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. So let's say one of the most common uses is triggering it with number keys on your keyboard. So on your computer keyboard. So you just come up here, you hit key, and everything turns orange. Then you click what you want to assign the button to. So let's see, the first scene, we'll hit that, and we want the number 1. Okay. Then for the verse will be number 2. And then for the second chorus will be the number 3. Then you hit key again. Now I'm going to hit the number 1 on my computer keyboard. There we go. Now I want to go ahead and trigger the next scene. I'm going to hit the number 2. Okay, let's go back to the chorus. Hit the number 3. So this is perfect for triggering parts of songs, triggering different songs, and setting up your worship service or your show the way you need to, however you need to run it. Okay. That's basically it. I mean, like I said, what I do when I'm programming something that I know is going to be triggered in Ableton Live, I just go ahead and program it here in this view. And I'll show you why. Let me go ahead and show you why. Let's have a little fun. Okay. Let's bring a MIDI track. You can bring MIDI tracks over into this, your third-party MIDI tracks, your third-party instruments. You can track them right in here. So I just pulled in this drum kit. And so let's bring in a verse. Let's do something really cool here. Let's copy the verse section. Okay. And let's actually let's change the end point. Let's change the start point to measure 9 for all of these. All right, let's test this out. Okay, and let's rename this verse 2. And let's assign it key 4. All right. So now we have that. So now let's say, also to stop all the clips, because as you can see, this little play activation thing, which means they're activated. So when you hit play, all of these are going to play. But if you want to stop it, you go down to the scene, hit the stop button, it stops everything, kills everything. Okay. So let's say I want to track a drum part here. Okay, so let's say we want this out. Let's say we want it out. There's a couple things I can do. I can turn this all the way down, or I can just delete it so that it's not there anymore. So now when I play, nothing plays. Okay. So let's do that. Let's keep that like that. And let's go here and let's track let's track my own drums. Okay, this is gonna sound really cheesy because I'm not really trying to be serious,